Podcasts, the final frontier. These are the voyages of Harmless Phosphorescence. Everyone, this is your host Thoreau Smiley, and my oath of celibacy is on record. Who's joining me?
I'm Josh Cece, but you can call me Turbo Shaft 8.
This is Brian Unit Lesh, and I am ready to transmit my information.
And I am Alaric Weber on a precise heading for Earth.
He'll be here any day.
Hide your hearts, girls.
Yeah. Hide your hearts, girls feature's coming.
I'm on the course. I'll be here soon.
This is a Harmless Phosphorescence. It's a deep dive movie podcast where we pick a theme or a series, we watch the movies, we gather some research into the production and source material, and we tell you all about it. The show is brought to you by patrons. Executive producers Michael Beckwith and Atticus Burkett are a couple of those patrons, and you can be one too. Go to patreon.com/harmlessentertainment. Lots of bonus content there. We are up at this point, we are approaching 100 monthly movies, something like that.
And if you become a patron and you want to hear a particular movie, we are very accommodating. We just did Surf Ninjas at Michael Beckwith's request. That was a good time.
Yeah, executive producers.
It's the cabin boy of surf ninjing.
It is. Again, no ninjas actually surf. Anyway. Patreon.com/harmlessentertainment. This week we are starting a brand new mini-series. We just finished up Conan the Barbarian. Not
to be sure.
Yes, he was a barbarian. He was
also an accountant, but
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. He was a civil works engineer.
Yes, he was. It was all about bridges.
That's right. He was the bridge inspector.
I'm building bridges. I'm Calidor.
Just like Professor X. I build bridges. There's like 4 references deep there. Anyways, this week we are starting our brand new mini-series on Star Trek. The first 6 original crew movies. We're not doing all the next gen. We're not doing the reboots. Just the original crew, Star Trek's the motion picture through Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country. And
if you want those, you can give us money and ask for them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe we'll do.
It's not a cash grab. It's a negotiation.
We're raising our podcast tariffs.
Yeah. Yeah. Hit us up on Patreon, and we'll do an episode of Trouble with Tribbles or something.
You can send us your home movies, and we'll do one of those.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd love to do that. It'd be like America's Funniest Home Videos, but.
You're right. I don't think your father loves you. But I don't think he loves you at all from that family birthday party.
Birthday, that's exactly what I was going to say. I just hear your dad's disembodied voice yelling about candles.
So, this week we are starting the series with Star Trek, the motion picture.
As opposed to the still picture.
Yeah, the title of this movie is already a problem.
Yeah, the show was already a moving picture.
Well, yeah, no, the title of this movie is already false and misleading.
Yeah, very little motion.
Very little. They want you to know what you're in for.
Travel forward with us, 300 years into the future, to confront the greatest mystery ever to threaten mankind. We are are aboard a huge starship called the Enterprise. This is the return of Captain Kirk.
An alien object of unbelievable destructive power is less than 3 days away from this planet.
Mr. Spock.
I offer my services as science officer.
Dr. McCoy. Scotty. And joining them on their mission, Commander Will Decker and Navigator Ilea.
I'm sorry.
That you left Delta 4? Or that you didn't even say goodbye?
Get us back in impulse power. Full reverse.
Wormhole distortion has overloaded the main power systems. The lane deck. Phaser order. Fire torpedoes.
This, then, is the epic journey of the Starship Enterprise, traveling to the outer limits of time and space to challenge a vast, living machine of destruction. The human adventure is just beginning. Star Trek, the motion picture.
Okay.
A red alert. That's the worst kind of alert.
Right.
The trailer is bad.
Yeah. That
Sorry,
trailer is terrible.
Not to get ahead of myself, but this movie's really bad. I'm just going to say that now.
I think most trailers were bad in 1979, but that one was especially so.
There are so many cool shots in this movie.
Yeah.
Just kind of sprinkled in throughout terrible shots, and none of those shots made it into the trailer.
Jude, of course, is an aspiring film student. He knows just enough about the technical side of camera work that he decided to critique every single shot he saw.
That's how you learn.
Yeah.
You know, every kung fu movie has taught me that you have to beat the master
Absolutely.
at his own game.
Yeah, Star Trek the motion picture. It's a 30-minute movie and a 2-hour. It's a 30-minute TV episode in a 2.5-hour wrapper.
It's kind of how I felt about the latest Captain America movie. Like, that would have been an awesome way to end that series. You know,
Right? Yeah.
an awesome way.
Yeah, this would have been a fabulous series finale for Star Trek, the original series.
Or if it came out within even 5 years. But this is like, people are like, do I remember this? I don't think I remember this. It was bright and they were running back and forth because the ship was shaking.
Well, and so much of this to me appears to be, obviously it's the 2001 comparison. It's very much trying to be lofty, whatever, but it's following the success of Star Wars and has none of the things that made Star Wars interesting.
Zero.
Yeah.
Exciting space battles, completely absent from this movie.
Yeah. No exciting space battles, human drama.
Yeah. The only moment, I mean, I did get choked up when the reunion scenes, you know, when Bones phases in and when Spock docks. You know, it's like, okay, that's neat. That's powerful to see those people. And then just lots of staring. Quiet.
Yeah, it genuinely is. It genuinely is. I mean, full disclosure, I am a huge Star Trek fan, going back to watching the original series and the original movies come out in real time as a kid. Starting with Khan. This one I don't remember. I would have been 3 years old. I don't know if I saw this one until I was like a teenager, at which point I was like, okay, maybe not.
Yeah, it was probably the last one that I did see. I remember Josh and I watching it, and yeah, just like, who paid? And Robert Wise is not a bad director.
No, he's the Academy Award-winning director of West Side Story.
Yeah, and it is pretty.
It looks.
But what the fuck?
It looks. Yeah. It's visually very pretty. Yeah. I mean, I've been to conventions. I've met Shatner and Nimoy.
John Delancey made fun of my nose ring to a 10-year-old that was sitting with him.
I was with you. I remember that. Yes.
He was mad I had him sign my sketchbook. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not buying it still. Sign this.
It would have been 96. I probably told this story on Mike before, but I'll tell it again since we're actually watching a Star Trek movie. 96. Yeah. Shatner came to do a convention here in Tucson, and at the end of his talk, he told us Nimoy was coming to pick him up, and he had us all, the entire convention, follow him back to the docks behind the Tucson Convention Center. Like the organizers were like freaking out, like on walkie-talkies, like, what's happening? What are we doing?
Yeah.
But like, there was a moment of like, I was just running behind Shatner as he was like running through like hallways and stuff. That was one of the most surreal moments of my life. But like, yeah, he had us all hide. And then when Nimoy drove up in his Lincoln Town car, he had us all jump out and yell, surprise, Leonard, you bad boy.
You bad boy.
That's what Shatner told us to say.
That's amazing. So you met them together? I've never heard this story. You've never told this on the microphone before.
I thought I had. Yeah, Nimoy, I mean, didn't really meet Nimoy. He just kind of like waved to the crowd and everything. Like, it was like, thanks, everybody.
That's a celebrity interaction. You had a celebrity tell you to tell a celebrity something. That's more than just waving at a guy in a car.
I was there, but I got separated from you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I don't even think it was a convention, right? It was
just
there.
Shatner signing.
Yeah.
I mean, there were tables.
The ticket stub, I think.
There was merch, like the tables of merch and stuff, and people were, dressed up, but it wasn't like a full, like, real convention. Yeah.
What year was that again?
Oh.
I think 96, maybe 97.
Okay.
Not 97.
Fun to think of them palling around in Tucson for the rest of the weekend or whatever.
Yeah, totally. Going to Greasy Tony's.
Yeah, like being at a restaurant and being like, holy shit, that's Spock and Kirk eating pizza together. What the hell, man?
Yeah. So Star Trek The Motion Picture is the movie we're talking about today. This was released December 7th, not 1941, but 1979. They're like, to commemorate Pearl Harbor, we're releasing Star Trek The Motion Picture. It has a running time, depending on which version you watch, it could be 132 minutes or 100 or 128.
or 300.
Yeah. It cost $44 million. In 1979 money, that's crazy. And it made $139 million. So this was financially successful. This was not disappointing to anybody at Paramount.
So we should have gotten worse movies after this.
Yeah, instead of one of the best sci-fi movies ever made afterwards.
Yeah.
The next one's incredible.
Yeah. The next one stands up. We'll talk about that next week. But Star Trek The Motion Picture made a ton of money. So let's play the box office top 10 game.
Woo.
This is the game where I will describe the top 10 movies of the week of December 7th, 1979. The guys here are going to try to guess what movie I am describing. This is going to be a mix of all-time classics and a couple that are like, what's that now?
The parallax view?
At number 10 at the box office, December 7th, 1979. H.G. Wells pursues H.G. Wells pursues Jack the Ripper to the 20th century when the serial
I love
murderer
this movie.
uses the future writer's time machine to escape his time
after time.
Time after time, starring Donald Sutherland. Or no, I'm sorry, Malcolm McDowell, not Donald Sutherland.
And Mary Steenburgen. That's when they got married after that movie.
Oh, yeah. This was This was a Nicholas Meyer joint. Nicholas Meyer we'll be talking about next week. Yeah.
It's a good movie. It's very underrated.
I think I saw it once, like in the 80s, so I don't really remember it. But yeah. Malcolm McDowell is H.G. Wells. Is it David Warner, I think, is Jack the Ripper. At number 9 at the box office for the week of December 7th, 1979.
Sorry, David Warner's going to be in a Star Trek movie as well.
Yeah. Huh. Okay, yeah. So number 9 at the box office. 15 years after murdering his sister, an escaped mental patient returns to a small town to kill again.
Friday the 13th, right?
No.
Or is this Halloween? I always get them mixed up.
Halloween. Mike Myers, Halloween. Yep. John.
This is the Kirk mask.
Yep.
Then, right?
The Inside Out Kirk mask. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Halloween, by the way, was actually released almost because this is the end of 1979. It was released over a year earlier and has just been slowly building steam up at the box office over the course of a year to become like the biggest independent film ever made.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
At number 8 at the box office, the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania basketball team is hopeless. Could they become winners with help from an astrologer and some new astrologically compatible players? This stars Dr. Julius Irving,
Yeah.
Meadowlark Lemon,
Yes.
and Jonathan Winters.
Who could have been a Harlem Globetrotter?
It could have been. This, I have never heard of this, but wow, do I want to watch this movie now.
Yeah. I love Dr. J.
Especially once I tell you the name, because I still don't understand the name after the description.
Oh. Let's see. Retrograde.
I wish.
Under the rim.
Rim job. I almost stopped myself from saying it, but I was unsuccessful.
Oh, and the trailer, there's so much disco dancing. So much.
Is this what Xanadu is? I never saw it.
Like, all the trailer is dancing and basketball. But this is called...
this could be Xanadu. When you said it, I'm like, I don't know what Xanadu is either. I just know it. I know what the poster looks like, and there could be basketball and dancing.
Yeah.
I know it's none of my business.
Like, it's still... And they're doing... There's a lot of disco dancing on the basketball court.
All right, what is this movie called?
It's called wait for it, The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
We should have known. We should have known.
Is it a Pisces?
I assume something like that. The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. We're gonna watch this movie at some point.
I already forgot about all the astrology.
Yeah.
Like, we got to basketball and dancing, and I'm like, oh yeah, astrology. The fish? What the fuck? We got to watch it. We got to do it.
The fish
that destroyed Pittsburgh was the first one.
Yeah. At number 7 at the box office this week.
Is it another fish kaiju movie? Was this the fish kaiju era?
Astrology fish basketball movie?
Yeah.
There were so many of those.
There were so many.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
In fact, the original Meet the Fockers was kind of...
was about a fish.
A fish that saved
A fish astrologer.
The fish is the astrologer. Like, I'm gonna believe him. He's a fucking fish. I'm impressed already.
Yeah, the fact that he knows how to do a chart. Much less that he plays basketball. There's no rule that says a fish can't play basketball.
Not until an executive order is signed.
That's right. At number 7 at the box office. In pre-revolutionary Russia,
A fish.
A fish plays basketball.
That fish did not save Russia. I'll tell you that. Flash forward.
Right? No, that fish did not save the fish that did not save Russia.
It's like pre-revolution.
Isn't that all the fish?
It feels pre. Yeah.
Didn't all the fish not save Russia?
Wait, is that who
one.
we can blame for the fall of the Soviet Union?
No, there was
Fish.
One, there was one fish.
One fish did good. In pre-revolutionary Russia, a Jewish peasant tries to marry off his 3 daughters.
Fiddler?
Fiddler on the roof. Not
Sometimes he's on the ground.
Yeah, he's not always on the roof.
Fiddler
He sleeps
on
up
the-
there at night to stay away from
Fiddler.
the dogs.
On the ground.
It's like, well, that's unremarkable. That's just a fiddler.
Yeah, that's a default. You don't even have to say.
Yeah, the breakaway moment writing that musical was, what if he goes up on the roof? They're like, oh shit, man.
We
I'm
got
gonna
Now we got a stew going.
Harry,
Yeah.
you got something. Yeah.
No roof, you got dick.
You add in the roof.
There have been so many musicals about fiddlers, but this guy, he can climb a ladder.
He's up on a roof.
At number 6 at the box office, The Tragic Life of a Self-Destructive Female Rock Star who struggles to deal with the constant pressures of her career and the demands of her ruthless business manager.
A Star is Born.
It is not that movie, though it is the description fits for sure.
Yeah, it does. Wow.
This is another singer actress who, similar to Streisand, who's also beloved by the LGBT community in the 70s and 80s.
Liza or Cher or Dolly?
I will tell you this about this actress singer. I never knew that I was her hero.
Bette Midler?
Bette Midler.
Oh, the Rose.
The Rose. Bette Midler, The Rose.
My mom loved that movie. Yeah.
I don't know
Now
if
he's
I've ever
on.
seen that one.
I forget. Yeah.
The Midler. Middle me this.
Malcolm in the Midler.
Or when she owned a racehorse with Krusty.
Yeah.
The Crudler.
The Crudler.
Fighting, littering, one truck at a time.
Yeah.
Number 5 at the box office for the week of December 7th, 1979. A divorced man falls in love, but somehow he can't get over his ex-wife. This affects his love life in comic ways. Fucking descriptions.
I don't know. Huh.
This is directed by Alan J. Pakula,
Okay.
starring Candice Bergen, Jill Clayburgh, and Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds in a romantic... Burt Reynolds wearing like tweed and a vest and stuff, which just feels wrong.
Pokey and the Bandit.
Okay. It's got a super generic title. It's called Starting Over.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah. Oh, Bert.
He never stopped. If you haven't seen it, you should look up the Tonight Show appearance of him getting very angry with Mark Summers, the host of Double Dare. Burt Reynolds pours his drink on him.
That's incredible. Oh my God, that must have been a later appearance then, right? Late 80s, maybe?
Yeah, and Burt Reynolds was getting divorced. And
was that when he
Mark
divorced?
Summers made a joke about. He's like, "Well, I'm happily married."
Was that when he was divorcing Lonnie Anderson?
Yes. And so he did not find that funny.
Oh.
He's like, I miss when Dom DeLuise would come on with a bottle of seltzer. Who the fuck is Mark Summers?
All right. Yeah, I'm definitely going to look that up after this. At number 4 at the box office this week. This fucking movie. I don't know why I said that. It's not. It's a good movie. A lawyer is forced to defend a judge while defending other clients and trying to find punishment for the guilty and provide justice for. So basically, a lawyer exists.
Is it Injustice for All?
It is Injustice for All. Yeah.
So the whole damn court is out of order. Is what you're saying.
Exactly. Not just him. The entire system is out of order.
If I was on a jury, I'd be like, I'm going with Al Pacino.
Yeah. I think he knows what he's talking about. He runs the mob.
Wow.
We'll be seeing some more Pacino this month when he's the devil's advocate.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And his Dunkachinos.
Yeah, that's right. Patreon.
How does this happen? Sorry.
At number 3 at the box office this week, a U.S. Army officer in Vietnam is tasked with assassinating a renegade special forces colonel.
Apocalypse Now.
Apocalypse now.
Then.
Yeah.
And no.
Now.
How long had this been in theaters?
I don't know. Apocalypse Now was released 17 weeks ago. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I mean, but also like
understandably.
Also, movies would stay in theaters for like 3 years back then. So, at number 2 at the box office this week, a Hollywood composer endures a midlife crisis and becomes infatuated with a newly married woman honeymooning at a Mexican resort.
The Heartbreak Kid?
No. This is Blake Edwards.
Okay.
Starring
79.
Julie Andrews, Dudley Moore, and Bo Derek.
Oh, 10?
10, the movie impossible to Google. Yes. 10, number 2 at the box office.
He is married to Julie Andrews. What? For what? For many years. Blake Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
What a fun couple that must have been.
Yeah, they must have been a gas at parties.
I bet.
Did you know, I just found out recently, so Hook, the movie, Steven Spielberg's
Yes.
Hook, was supposed to be a musical, and John Williams wrote and they practiced songs, and they were going to have Julie Andrews sing a song in it for the Maggie, Maggie Smith character.
She's Wendy.
Yeah, for Wendy. Yeah, Julie Andrews was going to sing the Wendy song in it. Spielberg changed his mind 3 weeks from the start of filming.
I mean, I don't think that would have ruined anything, but man, it's way more powerful as a drama.
That was my favorite movie as a little kid. I watched that movie hundreds and hundreds of times, probably before the age of 10. I never knew that was going to be a musical. That's insane.
Jude wouldn't have had the emotional impact, I don't think.
Jude loves it too. I kind of don't like it very much.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
Yeah. I like it a lot.
Yeah. I don't have kids, so I don't know that life of becoming the old man from Peter Pan thing. I'm still Peter Pan.
Business dad.
Business dad.
Yeah.
I've skipped that phase of life, hopefully until death.
You can tell he's business dad because cell phone bad.
Cell phone bad. You know, we should have seen it coming.
Mm-hmm. And number 1 at the box office this week, when an alien spacecraft of enormous power is spotted approaching Earth.
Spotted.
Yeah, spotted. There it is.
Yeah, exactly. What is it? There it is.
Admiral James D. Kirk resumes command of the overhauled USS Enterprise in order to intercept it. This is the fish that saved Earth.
Space fish? Yeah, that's the thing.
Space fish. That is the box office top 10. It opened. I was shocked. This did that this did over $100 million in '79. Like, it wasn't like a Star Wars sized hit, but that's really solid.
But Star Wars mania was like a thing, like it was still popular 2 years on.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's true blockbuster material. It's for anybody. You know what I mean? Grandparents took their kids to see Star Wars movies and didn't hate it.
Star Wars.
Yeah,
Star Wars.
It left a wake,
and it didn't stop playing until The Empire Strikes Back came out. It played for 3 years in theaters. I apparently was taken to see it in 1979, though I don't remember at all.
Now, future Star Trek movies start to get better that way with that vibe, but Star Wars compared to this, night and day.
Yeah, Star Trek's 2 through 4, the interior trilogy there is just fantastic, start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, Khan is with The Godfather 2 and Empire Strikes Back, and one of those sequels that's like, okay.
Yeah, T2, like it's just like a perfect sequel. Yeah. Yeah. Amazing Spider-Man, or not amazing, Spider-Man 2. Not amazing.
Somehow greater than the sum of all of its parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2 is one of the best comic book movies.
Absolutely.
Ever.
But, but Star Trek the Motion Picture. All right, kids, buckle up. Here we go. So Star Trek, the original series, aired from 1966 to 1969, and then was canceled due to low ratings.
And just a side note, it wouldn't have existed at all if it wasn't for Lucille Ball.
That's right. Lucy produced it. She
bankrolled it, right? Like the pilot?
Yeah,
completely?
she went to bat. Not only was it done at Desilu Studios, but she was like, no, we got to do this. This is interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of like Dolly and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, weirdly.
Or Mel Brooks,
Mel Brooks.
Just like, I don't care what you're saying. You don't understand. You might, but you don't know.
So in 1969, it was the Star Trek original series was canceled. They put it into syndication, and in syndication, it became a gigantic hit over the course of like the next 5 to 6 years, from through the early 70s. That's when it started. They started having conventions. People, like the fandom, started. It might be the first fandom that existed in the way we think of modern fandoms as existing.
And the resurgence of its popularity in syndication had a lot to do with hippies.
Yes.
A lot to do with the stoners.
Yes.
They're like,
hippies
to that Technicolor and
getting high, watching it on their color TV and being like, man, that's just about racism.
Right.
Because
kind of the way we were with Quantum Leap in the 90s.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. It's huge impact on like black families too. Like many families, this was just a fixture in the home because it was the one thing that was like not difficult to watch,
Right, and it had an integrated cast. It was one of the very first shows to have an integrated cast.
Optimistic about the future, not about a cop.
Right, not pessimistic.
Yeah. Famously, it has the first on-screen interracial kiss in history. Between Kirk and Uhura.
King is the reason Nichelle Nichols stayed on the show.
Yes.
Martin Luther King Jr.
He called her personally.
Yep.
Star Trek is crazy, the impact that it still has.
Yeah, even though she's basically a space secretary.
I know. Sigourney Weaver in Galaxy Quest just nails it.
Yeah.
Like, look,
tell it.
I only have one job on this ship. It may be stupid, but I'm going to do it.
Repeat what the ship says out loud. Oh, I love that. God, definitely our best episode ever.
But she became one of the most powerful characters. Yeah. Like, she's not a joke.
No.
Even though that is.
She's not a joke, and she gets moments, especially in the next few movies. Not this movie.
Well, and the newest iteration of her is my favorite iteration of her. She's a linguist, right, Al? You've been following.
Well, she had to be.
Yeah, she is a
the
linguist.
Communications officer.
There's a great musical episode in the newest series that she's like centered to, and it's the coolest thing they've ever done with her, in my opinion.
I think it's the is it the Undiscovered Country, but where she does her sexy cat dance to distract the
that was Final Frontier.
I knew
the
really?
fan dance.
Okay.
We'll get to that in a few weeks.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Final Frontier I love. It's not a popular opinion.
I think it's fun. It's just flawed, but fun. All right. So yeah, it started gaining a lot of popularity in the early 70s through syndication. And so
Then they made an animated series.
There was an animated series that showed on Saturday morning that was voiced by the original crew.
The entire cast, yeah.
Even Shatner? I thought Shatner wasn't part of that.
He was.
Was he?
All of them were.
Yeah.
Even Majel Barrett.
Majel Barrett. Mrs. Gene Roddenberry. Majel Barrett.
Mrs.
Who is also the original voice of the computer on Star Trek, or on Enterprise.
That's right.
That's right.
The original series, yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, computer.
He in 1975 he began developing a film for it. The first draft was called The God Thing because of course it was Gene Roddenberry.
The God Thing.
Yeah. which was later released as a book. It was they took that script and made it into a book later on.
James Blish,
yeah,
probably.
It was actually, who was it? It was Michael Jan Friedman.
Oh, I recognize that.
Okay, so it was about Kirk reassembling his old crew. When a godlike entity many miles across, there were so many gigantic godlike entities that Gene Roddenberry wanted to attacking Earth.
But that's why I really like, not to jump ahead, but that's why I like the Final Frontier, is they go looking for God and they find that it's just another creature,
one,
for lack of a better word.
It's just another giant cloud. It's always a giant cloud.
We see its face.
Yeah, sure.
But it's just a being that's a little more powerful. It's, primitive man and Galactus. Like, that's God.
Exactly.
It's just fun.
But it turned out to be a super advanced computer. So that one had a lot of the elements of the script too. Spock returning, transporter accidents, Spock doing like the ritual at the beginning.
Yeah.
They Paramount was pretty tepid on the script. So they
they're like, there's just 2 pages of dialogue, Jane. What?
yeah. So
lots of long glances. You had to write those down, huh?
Yeah. And the dialogue. You're coming for it.
Yeah.
A lot of that.
Yeah, a lot of looking in awe at blue things.
Staring at each other.
Yeah. So Paramount brought in some sci-fi writers because in the 70s they still weren't sure that like regular film writers could write sci-fi.
Yeah, they started catching on there were specific nerds for the job.
Yeah.
So were any of the original series writers involved?
I mean, in that, one of the people they brought in was Ray Bradbury, and several of his he wrote several scripts for the original series.
He
Okay,
did.
so Bradbury's the connection, I guess.
Well, Ray Bradbury's script was not used.
There were a few really cool writers on the original series, but the bulk was Roddenberry.
Yeah.
Like, he had his hand on every episode.
Yeah. So they brought in Ray Bradbury to write a script, Theodore Sturgeon, and Harlan Ellison. Actually, all three of those guys did write Star Trek original series scripts.
So sturgeon is the fish to say. Yes.
Harlan Ellison had an alien race messing with Earth's history to make them reptilian. So this Enterprise crew had to go back in time to stop them.
Yeah, we'll do that later.
Apparently, some studio execs said they should include the Mayan civilization, and that made Ellison so angry that he left the project completely.
He's like, you're a fucking reptilian. All of you are.
So at this point, they signed a couple screenwriters, Robert Silverberg and John D.F. Black. John D.F. Black did work on the original series.
You have three names, but you go with John.
Yeah. Robert Silverberg was like just a sci-fi pulp writer mostly. So they had a treatment that featured a black hole threatening to consume all of existence.
Apollo.
Right. That didn't go anywhere, so Roddenberry teamed up with John Povell, who
I'm so glad it wasn't a black hole that was going to eat up all of existence. What the hell kind of story is that?
Yeah.
That's stupid. That's just stupid then. It's stupid now.
Yeah, you can't really fight a black hole, so they made it this machine thing.
Yeah, I like the way they used the black hole. I
It's
thought
like, well, I'm going to throw another black hole at it.
throw a black hole at a black hole. Actually,
that would but
yeah.
So Roddenberry teamed up with John Povell, who's another sci-fi writer. He did some drafts of Total Recall, and that was another time travel story. So during this time, they kept telling the crew, we're going to make the movie. Meanwhile, like 3 years pass, and they have to like take other jobs. Shatner's doing summer stock in Canada, living out of a van, apparently.
Really?
Wow.
So they weren't getting much in residuals from the show being on syndication?
No, they were not. They didn't.
That explains the cons and everything, the conventions.
Yeah.
They needed to recoup, and they knew that there was money on the table. Holy shit.
The fact that in the 60s, actors got paid shit on TV.
Yeah.
And the popularity of Star Trek is why the modern conventions exist, because these actors had to go to conventions and to make some extra cash. Yeah.
And they didn't negotiate residual deals back then.
No.
You know, the idea was the studio owns it. I own everything I taped. So
I got hired, and I get a weekly paycheck for every week I make that I'm in an episode. Is what happened back then.
And Shatner wasn't a big enough star to be the star of the ensemble cast to get any extra. That's crazy. That's why he was at the. Holy shit! That may have shaped science fiction and fandoms forever because they paid them so poorly.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you haven't watched the documentary Trekkies, it's the first one. It's really, really good. And most of the cast is in it, and they talk about that.
And honestly, Shatner's 90s autobiography, I can't remember what it's called, is really interesting, especially for his the stuff about between the original series and the movies, because he talks a lot about how lost in the wilderness the entire cast was during that period.
I'm gonna name my autobiography that. I can't remember what it's called.
It's Star Trek Memories, and then you made Star Trek Movie Memories.
That's right.
Easy read.
I mean, it's full of a lot of stuff, a lot of like, you know who was awesome? Me. But also,
it's written by Shatner. I assume it's not complicated.
Yeah. Well, and he really
he's a fascinating guy.
He really downplays, because the cast had a lot of problems with Shatner. They didn't get along great. They found Shatner to be shockingly overbearing and full of himself.
Yeah, as if he was the lead.
Yeah,
good casting.
Yeah, exactly. But he downplays a lot of that as like there were a lot of misunderstandings. You know.
I mean, I hate to be an apologist for a famous white guy, but like as much as he wasn't famous enough to be the star, he was the captain of the show and the star of the show by like de facto nature of the show.
I mean,
structure.
the guy that came out the best from the original series was Leonard Nimoy. Mm-hmm. He came out and actually was able to be back on TV. He had that basic
Mission Impossible.
Yeah,
and he was in Body Snatchers. We should. I wouldn't mind after this series tagging on Free Enterprise. Everybody seen that comedy? With Shatner playing a version of himself.
Yeah, that was a funny movie.
And then he's trying to hit on women, and they're like, "You're Captain Kirk." He's like, "I'm not their captain. That is not how women see me." And then like these black rappers come in the club, and they know him as TJ Hooker.
That's amazing. Oh my God, I want to see that. We should tag that on.
It's such a fun movie. It's just a love letter to Star Trek.
Yeah.
Well, because we won't do any Shatners after this.
Probably not. I mean, what else?
What else?
Yeah.
Wait, what are we gonna do? TJ Hooker?
Your life is worth bologna on a stick. That's a line from TJ Hooker.
Like, what does that mean?
I know. After he slides on the hood of a car.
Across the hood of a car, yeah. So, all right. So by now it's 1976. Paramount decides to have the television division start working on this since it was originally on TV. And so they're like, I guess TV writers should write the movie. Again, it was the 70s, cocaine.
It's crazy that Star Trek existed in the time that we were landing on the moon, and then we stopped landing on the moon before the movie could come out. We've never been back to the moon, and we've had like 400 Star Trek properties.
Yeah.
It's weird that the like self-feeding perpetual media and culture thing didn't go like, well, we should go back to the moon. People seem to really like Star Trek.
So at this point, Paramount was kind of like, maybe we're not even going to make a Star Trek movie. But Roddenberry started applying a lot of pressure to the studio to keep going with it. He has had the cast was making a lot of appearances. They got the space shuttle renamed Enterprise because of the popularity of the show and a letter writing campaign from the fans.
Again, I'm so mad that we didn't go back to the moon. It's so frustrating because the culture was like present and excited.
You want to know frustrating? Like there was a period after the Next Generation or during like where we were actually hopeful that was an attainable goal. The United Federal, like money would be gotten rid of. Police state.
That brief what I call the Jesus Jones right here right now period of history.
Yeah.
We might escape the eugenics wars part of Star Trek history.
No, we might actually evolve. Emotionally and intellectually, we might not just technologically. We might actually evolve.
Yeah, after the fall of the Soviet Union, before everything went to hell,
when everybody was drinking Pepsi in the streets.
Pepsi
and
Clear.
Then it's funny. I just saw a meme. I think it was yesterday, but it was like billionaires don't. Dune.
Wait, you cut out, Josh.
True.
What was that?
That billionaires don't want Star Trek. They want Dune.
Yeah, exactly.
They want Blade Runner. Yeah. That's
or Alien to a degree.
Yeah.
It's just a company.
Yep.
All explorer. I can't speak today. It's all just a company.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a corporation now.
Not to get too deep into the politics of Star Trek, but this is the one world government that everybody's afraid of. Yeah. And then us ceding power to other planets to be like, okay, look, we all don't want to go to war, so we're part of the Federation, so we don't go to war.
Be like,
and
it's the thing that people are afraid of.
Be like, oh no, we'll all have somewhere to live and all the food we want and all the health care we need. Oh no.
Kissing black ladies or green ladies.
What's the machine called in Star Trek that makes food and
the
whatever
replicator?
The replicator.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a fucking subscription service in our world.
Yeah.
What they Do you what happens to the dish that's also replicated? That's what I've always wondered.
Yeah, it's never answered.
Does it go down to a washing machine? They just throw it, or a dishwasher?
The dish. No, the dish. They have
The old, like the pig.
They have human dishwashers who have to actually wash those.
Why can't we reuse cups?
I extremely have a big masher crunching machine that just turns it back into its component parts. Was always my guess.
I think they throw them into the D-replicator.
I mean, yeah, like where you throw a human body, or
De-replicate.
Oh my God!
Like, get rid of one of those twins.
The mob in the Star Trek universe has it so easy. just send them, just like beam them off into space. They'll never find the body.
Or the dishes.
Or don't even beam them off into space. Beam them aboard your ship and have Kirk run the fucking beam machine.
Right.
Like, Jesus, Captain, there's empty mugs. How much tea have you made? Your room is full of mugs.
Like, did you ever clean in here?
Yeah, I want the transporter to just transport food into my body. I don't want to even eat it. Just put the nutrients in my body.
So, all right. So it's 1976.
And that was a 3D printer, by the way.
Yeah.
They predicted that.
Sure. Yeah. They predicted a lot. Star Trek and The Simpsons predicted everything that's ever going to happen. So it's 1976. Paramount assigns a producer to oversee the whole project. They up the budget and they start trying to find writers to develop a script. They reach out to writers such as Francis Ford Coppola and George Lucas, who both do not decide to make Star Trek movies.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Lucas is like, a star, you say? I like half of this.
Yeah, I like half of this. It's called Star. Just stop there.
Yeah.
Then Coppola's like, apocalypse later.
So, they keep working. They start trying to find some directors. They do think of Coppola, Spielberg, Lucas. None of these people are willing to do this, of course.
Yeah. Hey man, you gotta start high.
There's no mention of Carl Sagan anywhere in or around this thing, is there?
What do you mean?
Not that I've seen yet.
Well, because Sagan was super involved in Voyager and the whole project and everything is like the pop
what do you mean?
science side. Just like he would be someone that I would call. If I'm making a movie
behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, like I would call him and say, "Hey, we're writing a science fiction movie about Voyager."
Yeah.
And it becoming sentient. Do you have any input on that? Like,
wasn't Cosmos already on? Not that would stop him from, consulting.
And he's part of that like moment. It feels like to me. I feel like 79 was Sagan kind of just starting to really get traction and become a household name. Cosmos is on TV and stuff. It just seems so foolish. Like I feel like the concept is so lofty, and there's just the execution lacks any of the like thinking to connect it to a human story.
Oh yeah, no. This is one of the most Roddenberry Star Trek things ever, in that it's got a very high concept central premise that's extremely intellectual, and there's very little human drama involved.
Which I kept thinking of what's the Sagan Contact, which is science fiction through and through, but has nothing to do with the science or the fiction. It's just the humanity of like, wow, I don't know. You know why
Contact is so good? Because Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey both are doing accents.
Well, because Jodie Foster's just goddamn incredible. Yeah. She's so good in that movie.
It's a perfect movie.
Yeah, Contact's incredible. So
it feels like it was made in the 2000s. It's so ahead of its time.
So all right, they anyways, at this point, They bring on a couple writers called Chris Bryant and Alan Scott. They deliver a draft called Planet of the Titans, which is about literal giants. Some of the Paramount executives at the time were Jeffrey Katzenberg, Michael Eisner, and Barry Diller. They all liked this. But of course, it also includes more time travel. They started moving forward with this, but Roddenberry hated it. And he brought in other writers and started working on a different draft, started trying to bring it more in line with his vision. At this point, they hired Ralph McQuarrie to do a bunch of concept art for it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. He's Star Wars concept artist, for those unaware.
So basically, they finished the first draft of the script in 1977. Roddenberry hated it, and no one else really liked it. So at this point, they kind of started from scratch. There was one point where it was supposed to just be Spock was the captain of his own ship, and Toshiro Mifune would be a Klingon.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brutal. Why? Toshiro Mifune as a Klingon is fascinating, but I would much rather him be a Federation captain.
Yeah. They canceled this 3 weeks. They canceled the film altogether about 3 weeks before Star Wars was released.
Mifune would have been a perfect Vulcan.
Yeah.
That dude is stoicism.
Yes.
He'd have been a great Vulcan. At this point, they decide that instead of making a Star Trek movie, they're just going to make a new series. So they start working on the new series. It's going to be called Star Trek Phase 2.
The human adventure is just beginning. It's always been the human adventure. Like, we're switching from raccoons.
So Alan Dean Foster writes a treatment for the pilot, which Roddenberry started expanding on and making into a script. Eisner loved it. After Star Wars and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, they decided that they would go back in on Star Trek because sci-fi is suddenly big again. And 2.5 weeks before they're about to start production of the TV show, they announced that they're not making a TV show, and in fact, they like the script so much they're going to make it into a Star Trek movie. Again. So they fire all of the TV production crew, upgrade all the sets, and begin production of what is to become Star Trek the Motion Picture. They had the largest press conference since Cecil B. DeMille's announcement of the Ten Commandments to announce this production.
Wild.
That was kind of a thing in this era, though. Those press conferences. I watched a Sting music documentary thing on YouTube that just kind of like popped up, and it opens with him and his band doing a press conference because it was like a motion picture that was played in theaters.
Yeah.
But them like doing the press conference for the movie was part of the movie, and it was just weird that was like so prominent in the culture at the time. But
yeah, it was a junket.
Yeah, everything was so TV at that point.
Basically it was what Hall H is. You know what I mean? Now they just announce shit at Comic-Con and what have you. But then it was like, hey guys. Mm-hmm. we had to tell people. We had to like ring them up. Like, hey.
Well, it could break through the news, you know? You have Star Trek doing a press conference and that's news all of a sudden. Like if they did that now, we'd be like, oh, that was cute. The Star Trek people did that a week ago. Weird. I missed that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Things happening used to be a big deal.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Well, hey, everybody.
The world we live in, everything is fucking happening all the time. I remember a time when nothing was happening.
Yeah, nothing was happening. Then all of a sudden you'd see that a thing happened and it was like, wow, a thing.
Yeah, well, we'd be like,
make life boring again.
You know, like, oh, Bosnia, shit is happening in Bosnia, but for years. Like now it's like, well, shit's probably still happening in Bosnia as well as everything else.
How old is this clickbait?
Yeah, I haven't checked up on Bosnia recently, but I'm pretty sure something's happening there.
We got big plans, I'm telling you.
but that's their tourist slogan. Bosnia's happening.
It's everywhere you want to be.
When you're in Bosnia, it's where you want to be.
What happens in Bosnia stays in Bosnia.
Oh,
literally.
Yes.
Cleansing.
If we have any Bosnian listeners, thank you.
Tell us what's happening in your country.
Yeah, I'm still unclear on what side I'm on.
All right. At this point, they start.
Not fans of Milosevic. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, that guy
I
could go to
remember
hell.
he was.
Yeah. They start filming. They had to give Nimoy more money to come back because he did not want to do it.
And a prominent role.
Yeah. They start filming. They're rewriting the script on the day, hour by hour, apparently, as they film, sometimes going back after they rewrite scenes even after they film them. Apparently, of the original 150-page screenplay, fewer than 20 pages of it actually made it into the film.
And that's just the dialogue, I'm sure. They stripped everything else out and just left the words that they said to each other, which were like, hi, hello. It's an honor to see you again.
Yeah.
Isn't this nice?
Yeah.
You have new clothes on.
We're in space.
Permission to come aboard.
Permission.
It's like a bunch of. It feels like watching a movie about loaves of bread on the shelf at the grocery store, talking to each other. And you're like, wow, I hope somebody does something.
Every time someone that wasn't one of the main crew was talking, I was like, why is this?
Yeah, why?
Like that dude with the forehead. Like, what is?
Yeah, bro. Can we get this guy a hat?
There was a point. This is one of the things Jude was complaining about. There's a it's basically a camera trick where they split the depth of field so that something in the background is, I can't remember the name of it.
It looks like the greased lens effect.
Yeah, well, but something in the background's in
you get the dual focus.
Deep focus.
Yeah, it's not deep focus, but there's a thing because in the middle it's blurry in between them. But Jude kept complaining because they kept putting the big forehead guy in focus in the background. It's like, why? Why do they need that guy in focus?
They spent money on that forehead, man.
So anyways, as our credited writers are Alan Dean Foster and Harold Livingston. Alan Dean Foster, a renowned science fiction fantasy writer. He was the ghostwriter for the original novelization of Star Wars, a book I read like 4 times as a kid, which was credited to George Lucas. The Star Wars novelization, by George Lucas, but not
Foster,
really.
right?
It was Alan Dean Foster, yeah. He also wrote Splinter in the Mind's Eye. He did a lot of Star Wars novels that were huge.
Alien. He wrote the Alien novelization too.
Okay.
Yeah. Like every movie novelization of science fiction stuff was him, basically, in the era.
Yeah, a lot of that.
I think he did a Blade Runner novelization too, like everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And not Android's Dream of Electric Sheep, but the movie.
Yeah, the novelization.
In print. Yeah.
Yeah, and plus he wrote a ton of EU Star Wars just standalone novels. Our screenplay by goes to Harold Livingston.
I presume. Sorry.
is mostly a novelist. He wrote for television a bit, and this is his only feature credit. And then of course we have our director Robert Wise, who, as we mentioned before, directed West Side Story, The Sound of Music. He was the editor on Citizen Kane. He got an Oscar for that. Nomination.
Wow.
Let's see, what else he The Day the Earth Stood Still. Run Silent, Run Deep. The Haunting. The Andromeda Strain.
Yeah, man.
Like, he was a real deal, like, director from the 50s and 60s and 70s.
For sure.
Which, because this film looks great. It's well directed. And then, of course, our cast. We'll briefly go through our main cast. Of course, Shatner is James T. Kirk. Shatner, famous Canadian. The earliest thing I remember seeing him on is, of course, not the first thing I remember seeing him on, but the earliest piece of media he appeared in would have been the original Gremlin on the Wings of the Airplane episode of The Twilight Zone, which was later Lithgow in the movie. He did a lot of theater all the way through the 70s. He was doing a ton of theater, but he started doing a lot of what was it, like a Hallmark Playhouse kind of things, like in the 50s, where there'd basically be a stage play on TV.
Like a craft theater.
Yeah, he did a lot of that stuff. He did a number of Alfred Hitchcock Presents stuff before finally getting cast as Kirk in this, and which was, it's all history from there. We have Leonard Nimoy as Spock. Leonard Nimoy, not Canadian, famously Jewish, and he wrote and spoke about his Jewish identity quite a bit, but let's see.
The Vulcan hand salute comes from his Jewish faith.
Yeah. Let's see. He before that had a lot of small parts in B movies, and then did like a lot of like TV stuff. He was in Perry Mason and Dragnet, something called Zombies of the Stratosphere.
Flying zombies, no.
He was probably the biggest thing he was in prior to that was Them, the movie Them, which was about what was it? Was it spiders or ants or something? Giant insects killing people.
It was ants.
Yeah,
giant ants.
He was also in some Twilight Zone episodes, as was along with Shatner, Gunsmoke. So, in between the movie in between the TV show and the movies, he of course was in Mission Impossible. He hosted Night Gallery. Or no, sorry, he was in Night Gallery, which was hosted by Rod Serling. He hosted, what was it? What was it? The World. There was a show that he hosted that was like that. I'm not sure, but he was in the 78 remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He kind of worked the most out of any of the crew. He was in the 71 Fiddler on Broadway.
Was he the fiddler?
He played Tevye.
Oh, okay.
He played Randall McMurphy in the Broadway One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, the Nicholson role. Yeah, I mean, he was kind of the most successful out of any of the cast. DeForest Kelley plays Leonard McCoy, Leonard Bones McCoy. My personal favorite of the original crew, as far as a character goes.
Sawbones.
Yeah.
Which is a very, very old term for a doctor. Like Civil War. So it's fun, 300 years on.
Yeah, absolutely. He also started working. he started in feature films. He was in Fear in the Night in 1947. Dude was born in 1920. So like he was, already middle-aged by the time he got to Star Trek.
He's the oldest cast member, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Let's see. He was in the Lone Ranger serials. He was in Gunfight at the OK Corral. He played Morgan Earp. He was in Warlock with Henry Ford and Anthony Quinn. He was a character actor who played like the third or fourth lead in a lot of movies in the 50s. He had an entire career before Star Trek. But in between the Star Trek show and the movies, he was in what was it called? It was Night of the Lepus, which was filmed in Tucson, about a giant bunny that's going to kill everyone.
Lupus, lupine.
Yeah.
French for rabbit.
Yeah, exactly. James Doohan as Montgomery Scotty Scott. Mr. Scott. James Doohan is not Scottish. Just FYI. James Doohan also he's also Canadian. Started out in radio, doing in the 40s. He is almost as old as DeForest Kelley. Was almost as old. He also passed away, of course. He's a few months younger than DeForest Kelley.
They brought his ashes to space.
Yeah. He's famously like a really awesome guy. He tells the story about how there was a. I
was going to say.
Yeah. Go ahead, Josh, please.
No, you got it. In Trekkies, he talks about this girl who came to a con and said she told him she was suicidal and didn't know if she could go on, and he like made a vow like come every year to this con and check in with me, and it's just charming.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Super awesome, dude.
I've heard stories.
Didn't commit suicide.
That's awesome. I've heard stories of him going to like Kennedy and Houston, the NASA like centers, and just like being very gracious and talking to all of these fans that are way smarter and way more like science people, but having serious conversations with them about it, which just is inspiring to them. I always thought that was really neat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and he's an important element in the story because without him and the engineering, technical, science aspect, you just have a philosophical, sort of existential in space kind of thing. Later on, they really developed it with Geordi and shit. But it was important to have that. Like, look, there's also science here.
Yeah.
Well, and limitations. He's always the guy. That's all I can do.
Right. This is what's possible.
Yeah.
Now you have to solve the problem, which is cool for us. As already, we're suspending so much disbelief in '64. Having a guy say, "We can't go any faster, dude. You got to figure this out."
You cannot change the laws of physics.
Yeah, exactly. You needed that. Otherwise, it's just aliens every week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doohan won a 2-year scholarship to the Neighborhood Playhouse in New York City, which was a famous conservatorship for actors in the 20s and through the 50s. It was the Meisner technique, which of acting.
Yeah.
He was classmates there with Leslie Nielsen and Tony Randall.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is telling me that Wikipedia is telling me that James Doohan created the Klingon vocabulary.
Huh.
For this movie and subsequent.
It has a dictionary. Yeah.
He was helped with linguist Mark Okrand to
Klingon.
later develop the full Klingon language. That's interesting.
It is.
He was let's see, in the 50s he played Timber Tom, which was the Canadian version of Buffalo Bob from Howdy Doody.
Wow.
Which was funny because Shatner was simultaneously playing Ranger Bill in the American version of Howdy Doody.
Wow.
Yeah. They appeared together in a 50s sci-fi Canadian series called Space Command. They were both Canadian. So, he also did a lot of TV work. GM Presents.
Doohan and DeForest Kelley were both on episodes of The Fugitive.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, all these guys, were just working actors before this. Character actors and bit parts. He was in Man from U.N.C.L.E., Bewitched, The Outer Limits, Fantasy Island. Later, Fantasy Island, of course, would have been afterwards when he was famous for being Scotty. But let's see, Walter Koenig as Chekhov, Pavel Chekhov, the baby of the group, born in 1936.
He was cast because he looked like Davy Jones.
Exactly. So he, in his early years, did a bit of TV work, not as much as the others. He was also in the Alfred Hitchcock Hour, Memos from Purgatory. After Star Trek, he didn't get to work much. He got to play. Go ahead.
He famously is the one that would talk shit about Star Trek. Mm-hmm. Everybody else would sort of dance around it, like, well, it was a little thing we did, and it's neat the fans love it. He was he would do interviews and be like, fuck that dumb show.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
we don't even know you.
He was kind of the saltiest one because he felt like he never got to have a career outside of Star Trek. Mm-hmm. Even though he got to play the Scandinavian fiance Gunnar in an episode of Gidget.
Even though
Nichelle Nichols, of course, as Uhura. Nichelle Nichols, let's see, prior to this, was a singer. Mostly she toured with Duke Ellington, Lionel Hampton. She was a principal dancer in the film version of Porgy and Bess. She was a Playboy bunny.
Nice.
She was featured on the cover of Ebony in 1967. She's another one. She did a lot of singing outside of Star Trek after it got big, released a lot of albums. Shatner, of course, also did some singing.
Oh boy, did he!
Honestly, his version of Common People, I think, is as good as the original Pulp version.
That whole album's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Is that the one that
Ben Folds produced?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Henry Rollins is on the track with him. Yeah. There's some good shit.
That's awesome.
And last but not least, rounding out our original crew, before we get to the auxiliary members of this cast who are not part of the original crew, we've got George Takei. George Takei. Oh, no, he's the baby. Born in 1937, year after Koenig. George Takei, of course, is still an active celebrity, famously tweeting sassy shit.
Yeah, very sassy with the clapbacks online.
Yeah, has become famous. Jude was like, I just know him as like the gay guy who says, "Oh my."
Yep.
Yeah.
He's an icon now. And good for him.
Yeah. Came out famously in the 2000s.
Famously also survived Japanese internment under the U.S. government during World War II as a child.
Exactly. Yes. George Takei is awesome. He's
it's okay to be Takei.
He's worked a lot in these in the 21st century, just kind of playing himself or versions of himself. That's our final member of the original crew, which brings us to the cast, which is not part of the original crew.
If you don't include Nurse Chapel and
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Nurse Chapel.
and former Yeoman Rand.
Yes.
Right, Rand as well.
Rand
yeah.
and Chapel are back.
This is the Tango and Cash of space.
Yeah. I guess for that's Majel Barrett as Nurse Chapel, who's now Dr. Chapel
Yeah.
in the movie. And
It's nice. Well, I love that Mr. Spock has remained Mr. Spock no matter how many ranks.
yeah. And of course, Grace Lee Whitney plays Janice Rand. Rand has a first name. It's Janice.
rank unknown.
Yeah, she's no longer a yeoman. And David Goutreau is Branch. He was supposed to play Zahn when they were going to make this a series, Star Trek Phase 2 series. Zahn was going to replace Spock because when it was going to be a series, Nimoy was not going to come back. So Zahn was going to be the Vulcan replacement for Spock.
Wait, is that the guy we meet at the very beginning of the movie that we have a conversation between Kirk and him? Is that the same?
No,
That's
okay.
Sonak.
No.
Okay.
No, this David Goutreau, who was going to play Zahn, plays Branch, the commander of the Epsilon 9 communication station. He gets
disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then as Ilya, the navigator and voice of V'ger, we have Persis
Ilya.
We have Persis Kambata. Yeah, Persis Kambata is an Indian actress. She was huge in Bollywood in the 60s and 70s. She also made some American films, such as The Wilby Conspiracy.
If you know the name, it's not a conspiracy.
You're right.
I think we should start with Willoughby.
Something called Nighthawks, Megaforce, and my favorite, She-Wolves of the Wasteland, which came out which was a 1988 movie.
88. Wow.
Oh, that's a Mondo movie right there. That's got to be
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she's the bald one.
In this she plays Cobalt.
Is that a skull cap, or did she go all the way for Star Trek?
I think. Let's see. I'm trying to find out, honestly.
Then they were straight razoring it every day because you don't.
That is
see
that is
any
clean. Yeah.
It's also a really, really smooth, flat, bald head.
It is. You can
So it's
play
got to
that
be a
like
skull. It's got to
bongo.
be a skull cap. It's got to be. It's Star Trek. She's wearing
Maybe.
makeup.
No,
But
she
yeah.
shaved her head completely.
Oh my God. She's my hero.
They may
They
have
pranked her.
They may have.
They're like, we don't have the technology.
I think I'm just judging. It seems to me like they maybe put a layer of latex over so that there wouldn't be stubble issues.
Right.
But she shaved her head. Stephen Collins plays Willard Decker. Stephen Collins, famous piece of shit.
Yep.
The dad from Seven Heaven.
Chomo.
Yeah, like
Pedophile, child molester.
Pedophile. Yeah. Let's not sugarcoat
Yeah.
it.
Not convicted though, right? Somehow still fucking working.
And not the statute of limitations, and that's that's why he was so brave for owning up to it.
Yeah,
Christ.
suck a dick and die. No, because he referred to his victims as this woman. Like,
Yeah,
fuck you.
10-year-old.
Fuck
So
you.
I had the wonderful experience of watching this movie once without knowing that, And then Jeremy came over and we watched it together and he goes, hey, is that the dad from Seventh Heaven? Isn't he a child molester? And I went, oh, that changes everything about this movie in retrospect. Like, in a weird way. We'll get there. But yeah, just like, the meta narrative of this guy being like, sure, I'll fuck the baby robot is fucking,
Yeah. Yeah, fuck this dude. He is,
Well, when you put it like that.
yeah. Yeah.
Because that's literally the words that they use later on in the movie. She's like a baby. It's just like born yesterday. And he's like, I'll do it. I'll take one for the team. I'm into this kind of thing.
Ugh.
Like in movie. Yeah, just
Yeah.
like Jeremy mentioned it like 20 minutes before it happened. And I'm like, oh no, what's happening? Oh no. Anyways, fuck this guy.
Yeah, fuck this guy.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Mark Leonard played the Klingon at the beginning. Mark Leonard, best known as Sarek, father of Spock.
Oh, cool. I love Sarah.
Yeah.
He made it back to the Next Generation.
Yeah, I did.
He
made it
played
ahead.
Romulan.
Oh, yeah.
The first Romulan that we see in the Star Trek world.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh, that captain.
Yeah.
Well, they were co-species.
This is the premiere of the Klingons not just being green dudes.
This is the
having
first
the
evolutionary change, right? Because that's how they've explained it in retrospect, is they've been evolving rapidly.
Well, actually, the ones that we see in the original series were a product of eugenics.
I
So
see.
They're actually they have some human DNA in them.
They also
That
look
was explained.
Romulan-ish.
Yeah.
They went over that in Enterprise.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Common ancestry thing or whatever.
In the Deep Space Nine episode where they went back in time to the original series, when they ask Worf why the Klingons look that way, he just says, "We don't like to talk about it."
We all got punched.
I love that the Klingons are like, we don't talk about our lore.
That's the
Except
first
for all the
rule of
times when we
Klingon
do.
Club.
Yeah.
We'll tell you about all of our ceremonies where we fuck each other up and fight. But
Yeah. Crop tar, crop that.
I'm self-conscious about my brow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely not staring at the brow.
Definitely not. Okay. That is about it for the production. Star Trek The Motion Picture has 52% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it was reviewed by Siskel and Ebert.
Gene hated it.
Captain Kirk reunites the crew of the Starship Enterprise as an alien threat speeds toward Earth in the new movie version of Star Trek. One of 5 new movies we'll be reviewing this time on Sneak Previews. Across the aisle from me is Gene Siskel, film critic of the Chicago Tribune.
And this is Roger Ebert, film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times. Now, in addition to Star Trek, on which we really disagree, guess who likes it?
But speaking of spaceships, for our next movie, Star Trek, there are, I think, 2 questions that have to be answered. Everybody wants the answers to these. First, does Star Trek do justice to the popular television series? And second, are the special effects any good? Well, I think the answer to both questions is yes. The television series made a successful formula out of combining adventures in outer space with basic questions about human nature, and so does the movie, which opens as a vast alien presence, sort of a star cloud, is discovered heading straight toward planet Earth. And the Starship Enterprise, which has just completed a massive overhaul, is assigned to go out and meet the invader, and Captain Kirk, who has now been promoted to Admiral Kirk, tries to reassemble his old crew. Everyone's on board except Mr. Spock, the half-human, half-Vulcan, totally logical science officer, who in this scene surprises the crew by turning up late.
Permission to come aboard, sir.
Granted, sir. Granted.
Mr. Spock, welcome aboard.
And so the old crew's back together again, plus a last-minute replacement named Ilea, an alien who joins the crew and then is cloned by the invading space cloud. In this scene, the invaders use Ilea as a way of making contact with Kirk and his crew.
I've been programmed by Vijay.
Guess I never really thought about myself as a carbon-based unit before. The story of the Star Trek movie revolves around favorite themes of the TV series, which are, what is intelligence, what is life, And in which ways are humans, and Vulcans too for that matter, different from the other beings in the universe? The crew of the Enterprise confronts these questions after they meet the invading alien force, and that leads to all sorts of opportunities for the movie to exploit what we're really looking forward to, which is the special effects. And so, how good are the special effects? I thought they were pretty good. The scenes in the futuristic spaceport at the beginning of the movie are obviously phony, but the stuff in outer space ranges from the adequate to, on a few occasions, the mind-boggling. Star Trek is not as visionary as 2001. It's not as scary as Alien. It's not as exuberant as Star Wars. But it is fun at the movies, and I had a good time.
And my mind wasn't boggled once by any of the special effects. I'm sorry, we saw the same effects, but we had wildly different reactions, although, to be fair, you did say at the beginning they weren't so hot. They had a lot of trouble getting the special effects, I think you know this, and they had to change special effects teams. And frankly, all that they got, I think, are just small duplications of some of the stuff in Star Wars, which we've seen so often that we're really, I think, looking for an advance from that now. And so I wasn't really dazzled at all.
Do you think, Gino, that we get too hung up on the technology in these science fiction movies that after 2001, after Alien, after Star Wars, the critics in particular are looking at the special effects as kind of a sweepstakes, whereas the audience is really more interested in the movie as an entertainment or as an experience than...
You said it right when you were talking. You said the two things we want to know. Is it as good as the TV show, and are the special effects any good? I think
they are fairly good. They're not, you're right, they're not as great as 2001.
So that's a letdown. Of course you want to see something better that you haven't been seen before. That's the whole basis of movies, dazzle us, especially when they go out to outer space. But on the question of the story, I think that there's a big flaw here. Maybe you agree. There's this black cloud invading. We're set up. That's the major confrontation. So naturally, we wait for 2 hours to find out what's in the cloud and what's going to happen. Who's going to get hit? Who's going to hit whom? Well, it never happens. We get a real letdown here, and we get some of that phony moralizing from the TV show. Guys in spaceships telling us we're human because we love each other or something.
Well, I don't think it's phony moralizing. I think that's one of the endearing things about the TV show and about the movie is the way that it kind of looks at human nature in a fairly optimistic way. But I agree with you, they missed the boat by not having a great villain. The greatest thing about Star Wars was Darth Vader. Darth Vader was the most popular character in the movie, and I think here they missed the boat by not having a villain equally as bizarre, as outrageous, or as individual.
I don't know. What I'm saying, I guess, is maybe little kids will like it, but I think that even they will be bored because the film just runs on.
Okay, well then here we do have a major difference in opinion. You're saying little kids will like it. I'm saying a lot of other people will like it too. I enjoyed it. I think as a movie named Star Trek, the sort of thing we're anticipating, I think this is a pretty good experience.
And I was let down. Okay.
Okay.
And I was let down.
You don't want to let down Gene Siskel.
I feel like the nostalgia was big, though. You could see that nostalgia kicking in and him being like, is it as good as the show and are the special effects good? Yeah. That's all he cares about? Like, that's what fans care about? It's fascinating because you would never say that about anything else, any other movie.
No. You'd want, is the movie good?
Like, there's no comparison to Star Wars because it just doesn't, and it's not apples and oranges, but very much they're both movies. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to give one a pass on like, is it kind of like the show? Does it remind you of that? It's just insane. It's an insane take.
No, absolutely. But
so Gene,
go ahead. No, go ahead, Al.
Gene mentioned the special effects. I guess they both said at the beginning was not great, but the film, like the special effects weren't exactly completed when they released it. Mm-hmm. I guess they lost the original contractors or something, but they pushed it forward anyway. Was it Robert Wise?
Yeah,
Robert Wise. He always considered he felt like the final theatrical version was a rough cut of the film he wanted to make, which makes it cool that they were able to go back and like touch it up the way that he wanted.
Yeah,
that is rough to have your rough cut be the thing that hits theaters, though, as a director.
Yeah. Oh,
it's like, so I got to play at Carnegie Hall in my boxer shorts.
And I watched both versions. I had the original theatrical version on DVD, and I was able to watch the director's edition on Paramount. It's still, it's crisper. The new one is definitely crisper, cleaner throughout. Not even just the special effects, but like even the interior shots. Just everything looks cleaner. But the original cut for 1979, I thought still looked pretty good.
There was some model work in this that I thought was just top notch, and there was some like at the end when V'ger is approaching Earth, like I thought that ship, like that was a really great looking shot of like the actual like weird ship.
The pinwheel, the shot of the ship of V'ger and the pinwheel mouth thing were the two most like fascinating images I think that they were able to create.
You mean the butthole? The V'ger's butthole.
The orifice.
Yes.
You got to go in somewhere, you know?
The model of the Enterprise was 8 feet long. It cost $150,000 and took 14 months to build.
It's crazy because it's so smooth. You know, and like thinking of Star Wars models, which have protrusions and they're the kit bashing style.
They stick a lot of lumpy stuff on them, yeah.
Whereas this was probably handcrafted from, you know, fiberglass and wood and things. Not to say that the Star Wars stuff isn't, but they don't like tack a bunch of shit on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just interesting to think that this also took $100,000+ and all of that time, but it's very sleek.
Yes. This is the NCAA 1701-A Enterprise. The original,
this isn't the A yet.
Isn't the A? Is it still? When does it get?
It said A in the one that I saw.
It says A because they get the B at the end of 4.
Huh.
I think it's the A
all right.
through the first 3 movies. We all spoilers. For Star Trek 3.
Maybe my brain isn't remembering correctly. I thought I just saw the 1701 without any dashes, but I'm claiming the possibility.
Star Trek nerds, come at us. No, don't. Never, please. They're the only nerds that I fear as much as Star Wars nerds coming at us.
Reserve your ire for me. Star Trek sucks.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the A though. So that's about it for the background, guys. We ready to jump into the movie?
Permission to come aboard.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is Star Trek, the motion picture. We open with an overture. Someone's really into Kubrick. It's like 4 minutes of vague orchestral sounds and stars. Nothing else.
I mean, Jerry Goldsmith is a pleasing composer, but yeah, it was just like, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is a thing. I think they're trying to do a thing. I don't think that
they were, yeah.
No, I think that this is V'ger's perspective. Because it's stars. There's nothing around it. I think that we're supposed to get, because they fumbled the bag so hard throughout this entire movie. I think that they were trying to show us like we're supposed to share the perspective of V'ger by the end. That's the point. But it's like, again, bad. But I think that the beginning, just the stars, on second watch, I was like, oh, this must be V'ger's perspective as it's leaving Earth and getting farther and farther away.
That's interesting.
But it's not clear at all.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that at all. I just thought it was 4 minutes of blank time.
It's poorly executed, the whole thing.
Because this comes
from the jump.
Yeah, this comes before we get the studio logo.
Which has to mean something, because it's like in any movie you get your little like leader, or what do they call that? The little tag at the beginning, you know? Like you get your little, the bank robbery in Batman, you know?
Yeah.
It's an overture. I mean,
yeah,
that used to be a thing. Westerns too.
Yeah, yeah. So it just seems so weird, because you think you would show the ship like whoosh, or like a flash of light across the sky to show something traveling.
Well, I mean, before, sometimes they would just show an overture at the beginning of the movie so that people coming in late wouldn't miss the movie.
Yeah. Well, and this movie is full of just filling.
I mean, let's
time.
be clear. You could have come in at the hour 40-minute mark and you wouldn't have missed anything.
Literally. You get to the hour and 40-minute mark and you go, oh, now there's a movie happening.
Yeah. So,
in the You guys all saw Stars, and I did too in the updated version. But in the original, like it was just black, just music playing over black. I thought I saw a couple points of light, but I don't know if that was a reflection on the TV or what. I was expecting stars to like fade in or something, but it didn't.
Oh my god!
Just black and just blackness and music.
Yeah. So the overture. Then we finally get the Paramount Studio logo and a credit sequence. We get what?
Sorry to belabor this point, but I looked it up. The Enterprise A did not appear until Star Trek 4.
That was the A? I thought that was the B.
Oh, that was the A.
Wow, I stand corrected.
The B was what showed up in Generations.
That's right. That's in Generations they were christening the B.
Yes.
And then the C never really made it onto screen unless it has recently. I haven't been keeping up with Paramount Plus era Star Trek.
Somewhere it did. I think Voyager, maybe.
Because the D,
I could be completely wrong.
Because
about
Next
that.
Gen is the D.
Or Next Gen is the D. Wasn't I think Kelsey Grammer was the captain.
That's right. Kelsey Grammer
in Next Gen.
That's right. That's right. The C showed up in Next Gen in an episode with a time thing happening.
Yeah.
And it was Kelsey Grammer as the captain of the sea. Huh. So
all right. So this movie,
Captain of the Sea.
Captain of the Sea.
I'm captain of the entire sea.
I'm Kelsey Grammer. TV's Frasier.
You may know me best. So, all right. Credit sequence. Then we cut to 3 Klingon birds of prey. They find a big blue space cloud and start blasting. A Starfleet monitoring station called Epsilon 9 detects the cloud and the Klingons and watches. Okay, here's my question. And usually I'm not going to nitpick this stuff, but this movie was so slow that that's where my mind was going. How are they getting an outside view of the Klingon ships? Where is that camera?
I love the camera lingering after everything in the area has been destroyed.
Yes. How are they seeing this? What is this view? Because it's in universe. It's not the audience's view. They're watching it on their screen in their space station.
All together, too. Like, they're all watching it together.
Yeah.
Also, Al, I had to check. You're right. There is no A designation on this version of the Enterprise.
So they, anyways, they get destroyed. The Klingons get destroyed by the big blue cloud. Epsilon 9 people watch them. And then we cut to Vulcan, where Spock is about to get real Vulcan-y.
Roland.
Yeah. It's a vow of emotional celibacy or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't have any feelings and poop in a hole for a while outside under a statue of your parents, I guess.
And check. Yeah. No feelings, pooping in a hole.
Is this the first time we've seen Vulcan have these giant red statues, or was that in the original?
It's the first time we've seen Vulcan.
No, it's the first time we've seen Vulcan.
Okay, yeah.
Oh no, a muck time. No, not a muck time. The one where Spock has to go back to Vulcan because he's on a 7-year cycle.
Yeah, the what is it called?
Kamertag.
The Kamarouge.
With his parents?
No, it has a name. Yeah, I was right.
It does. Yeah, the 7-year when they go into a mating
when he
frenzy.
gets his itch.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 7-year itch.
Marilyn Monroe also had that.
Is a Vulcan.
Yeah. Well,
Happy birthday, Mr. Spock.
The Vulcan 7-year is called Pon Farr.
That's right.
Pon Farr.
Was that in Arena? No, that's not Arena.
So yeah. Anyways, so Spock is there, but he keeps hearing clouds in his brain. Space clouds are coming in his coffee too, just like Joni Mitchell. But so
he's like, I'm devoid of all feelings, but somehow I'm depressed.
So the space cloud speaks specifically to Spock, who is a living man.
Through
Yeah.
through
A Vulcan
And they
man.
explain that by Leonard Nimoy's agent.
So yeah, he had to be in the movie. This is why this happened. But at no point in the movie until it's go time does V'ger consider carbon units to be life.
Oh, well, I don't think V'ger's attempting to communicate with Spock. Spock's just so in tune with the universe that he hears it.
He's just so logical. He's picking up radio frequency.
Well, because, you know, the Vulcans have a form of, like, you know, telekinesis.
Telepathy, yeah.
So that's what is doing it.
And somehow his human side helped. I think they mentioned that.
Yeah, it's
So the Vulcans mentioned that's why he picked it up, because he was half human.
He's a little hornier than Vulcans are.
He's just Vulcan enough, but just horny enough.
He's a whole 10% hornier.
He's like, I don't always wait 7 years, if you know what I mean.
I don't know what you mean.
He's in the sweet spot between horny and unattached.
Yeah, like a lot of dudes.
Yeah. No, a lot of dudes are specifically in the unsweet spot. But
there are celibacies on record.
Yeah. So, anyways, he decides he has to leave Vulcan back on Earth at Starfleet headquarters in San Francisco. We catch up with James T. Kirk. He's now Admiral. He's hanging out with Sonak. Everyone's favorite Vulcan character is Sonak.
You mean Kirk's first fucking victim?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's all, that's Sonak.
He fucking kills this guy. He's like, oh,
Yeah,
bro,
man.
I'm so excited. We're going to be on a ship together. We're going to be crew members. Oh, just make sure that you go up after me so
And
that
then
I can
he's like,
drive the teleporter.
Send my condolences.
Send my condolences.
You don't want to say something?
You don't want to personally talk to anyone?
So this is the kind of movie that you don't rewatch twice back to back. This is the kind of movie that you watch twice in your lifetime. You know, once in 85 because you guys are older, and then once in 2025. I probably watched this in 95, and then again, you know, this week. But I watched it one day and then the next day, and that second rewatch, this movie opens with a very dark storyline of Kirk murdering 2 people. I can't get over it. He kills 2 people. He's like, let me do your job. Don't worry. I got this. They're going to die right now, and no one's going to be responsible, and no one's going to care.
Well, I mean, because it just wasn't. It was malfunctioning. That's all. It was just. It was a horrible accident.
Ever had that job?
Yeah, he's like, just twisting knobs.
No.
Like he gets behind the DJ booth and he's like, I can do this.
It was Rand operating the controls at first.
Yeah, but then
and then Kirk tried to take over.
Kirk jumped.
He got
in.
his opportunity for a bloodless, guilt-free kill.
That's another great scene in Galaxy Quest, you know, because all the technology is modeled after that show. Yeah. So they try to beam this creature. It's inside out.
One thing.
Remember that episode, Brian? That was
dude,
one to talk about.
I dream of it. I'll never forget.
It is so vivid in my mind.
When the rock creature
so much
stands
so that
up.
it disturbs me. Yes, somebody killed Guy. Yeah, I remember us saying that.
So
yeah, all the Sam Rockwell movies we talked about, crazy.
One thing I definitely noticed is how much Kirk just does himself that the captain of a ship like the Enterprise should not be doing.
Yeah.
He should,
like murdering your crew?
Personally going out to get Spock. Like, Riker would never let Picard do that shit.
So he gets this ship, right? He's like, I'm getting this ship because there was a thing that happened. Do we see anybody tell him, hey, Kirk, this thing happened in deep space. I want you to go check it out.
No, but it starts with him saying, I'm meeting with somebody. It's going to be a short meeting because and like it's assumed he got some sort of military intelligence briefing.
But like assumed by who? The first watch through, I was so just confused. Like, wait, why is he going there? Did he hear the thing? Did they
later
send him a
movies
tape?
Delve into the politics a little bit more and who's over Kirk and what he's allowed to do. Yeah, in this one he's still that Kobayashi Maru maverick.
Like the Federation needs to be like, Kirk, you're the only one within range. We're sending you this video privately. I know you're going to have to convince someone on Earth to steal a ship, but I know that your ship is almost done. That needed to be in this movie so bad.
No.
Well, I mean, Bones calls it. You know, he tells this is you couldn't stand that somebody else would be flying the Enterprise, basically.
Yeah,
but nobody had to talk you into this.
Without any context, without having watched the original series in the last 10 years, like people who saw this movie in the theaters, hadn't seen the original series in the last 10 years, unless it was in syndication or whatever. It's just weird for him to be like, yeah, no, I'm already on that mission. We're like, oh, but why? How did you find out? Like, I guess it was national news that the videotape, the ship that had no camera in it, that was still there after those other ships were destroyed.
No, because nobody else on the ship knew about it until the briefing.
Yeah. He knows because he's an admiral. He gets the high up news.
Did they send him a raven? Like, this is important. He's the main character of the movie, and he gets no call to action. That's what I'm saying. Is like the call to action that a character gets, where it's like, oh shit, no one else can do this. He just tells us. He's like, we're the only ship. And they're like, oh, okay, but why are you in charge? He's like,
I'll stop doing this, but yeah, they figure that out later on as well, where it's like he has to be coaxed. Like, there's one man for this job. This one, you're right. There's no context, and then Bones kind of is like, you're just obsessed with it. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, he's just obsessed with the ship. Like, so is he just stealing the ship, and there just so happens to be this natural disaster in space coming towards he's like a
dude who souped up a car and then sold it to somebody he knew and then wants to constantly still drive it and come or the owner of a restaurant coming back to stick his finger in the sausage. It's like, dude, I know it was your restaurant. I get it.
Yeah, no, but like, you're right. It is unclear at the beginning if he's just taking the ship because he wants to take the ship, or if he's like, I gotta save Earth.
Right.
It's like Admiral's not the highest rank. He's not the king of the Federation. He
later denounces that rank and goes back to captain.
Yeah, but when he's in the
which also isn't how ranks work.
Yeah.
No, he got demoted.
Yeah.
But when he's in the shuttle with Scotty for 6 minutes
for eternity,
staring at each other like they just finished hand jobs or something.
No, he basically that they have a brief exchange where he says like, I convinced so and so to give me back the Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
So all right,
but then the show Uhura does mention like, well, now our odds of surviving are just doubled. No. Watching this movie, if Decker was the captain and Kirk wasn't there, they would have been dead real early on. Yeah.
That scene that you bring up, Josh, was not in the original theatrical cut.
Oh, really? Which one?
That was like where Uhura says our chances of surviving just doubled.
Why?
See, and that's one of the few nuggets of like original series vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, this is not you send Picard when you want level-headed rationale. You send Kirk when you want guns.
You send Kirk, when you want some shit up.
When you're out of options is how I view Kirk. Kirk is like, oh shit, all right, we just need a guy who can fight an alien and maybe win.
Kobayashi
win a no-win situation.
Like you said, Josh, Mr. Kobayashi Maru. He's just gonna go in and do what's got to get done.
An American. You need an American.
A cowboy.
Yeah, not an.
And that's how Roddenberry sold the show. That it was Wagon Train to the Stars. Like, it's a Western. And he's the sheriff. We call him the captain, but he's the sheriff. Yeah. He's Gary Cooper.
Yeah.
I'll fucking meet you at high noon.
Absolutely.
That's so brilliant. That's a great point. This is a brilliant way to take what was big on TV. And strip all of the styling and be like, well, it's still that same thing. It's a wagon train to the West.
That's how Lucy had to sell it to all the dumb white suits, like You guys like westerns, right?
It's like that.
Pretend there's no cactus and there's stars instead.
Yeah.
Genius.
Exactly.
You got white hats and black hats. Don't worry.
And it's a lot less racist when you don't have native tribes running around that we're shooting at too.
Being played by Italians and Jewish people.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah. And then later on, we'll have a British accented French guy as the captain.
And we'll love it.
Yes. No, I would point out Picard's brother has a French accent. Anyway.
He studied abroad. He went to Oxford. Or whatever the future version of Oxford is. Because Oxford's still not even in the future.
He grew up watching British Sesame Street. I don't know.
It's the Bert and Ernie. It's like Coleman Liam.
But Liam, I'm trying to get to sleep. Wibbly wobbly.
I'm totally chuffed, and I'm not sure if chuffed means happy or mad.
The lollipop lady's at the zebra crossing with some bangers and mash. Anyway,
we haven't had trucks any longer than America, but we call them lorries. Just fucking deal with it. They act like they had trucks.
Right.
They were called lorries before we got involved.
Go fuck yourself.
Henry Ford's just like, no way.
No, it's a truck. You don't need a word.
You pick up things and you put it in the truck. Damn it.
That was the name it was invented.
Anyway, so he gets he convinces somebody to let him take over the Enterprise. He beams up to a space station because the transporters on the Enterprise aren't yet working, and him and Scotty then spend 6 minutes of screen time taking a shuttle from the space station to the Enterprise. 6 minutes.
And Scotty's acting like a guy that brought his friend to a show that he's been really excited to. So he's just watching his friend the whole time. He's like, "Are you digging this?"
You're like, "Look at that! You see that?"
So I got a quarter chub at least right now.
He's like, "This is the best part." Look at that.
Wait for it.
Did you see that? It's still there.
You can kind of see it all at once, but we're gonna go by it.
So they arrive, and Kirk goes to find the Captain Will Decker, who's been there overseeing the refit of the Enterprise. Tells him the bad news that he's not going to be captain anymore. He's getting a field demotion to commander.
This is two 7-year-old children meeting each other for the first time, and one kid going, "That's my truck." Or lorry, if he's British.
Or lorry, yeah. Screw you guys, I'm going home.
And the other kid being like, well, all of his friends are here, and if I punch him, I might get beat up. This is the least adult interaction I have ever seen in Star Trek, where he's like, I would hit you if you weren't the guy who double-handed, overhand chopped aliens.
Yeah, and Kirk is just
he has a reputation.
Cold. He's way too Vulcan about it. Mm-hmm. Kirk could always be a dick, but usually there was some flair with the dickish. He's just like, I am better.
Like,
you are not.
Look, young man, stand by me. Make sure everything goes right. I am being sent by the Federation to do this thing. That's why that scene needed to happen. The Federation is sending me. I'm not stealing your ship. I'm just as frustrated about this whole thing, too. I've been telling the Federation there needed to be ships and blah, blah, blah. Like, dialogue solves all of these weird jerking off contests in this scene.
There are other ships in the Federation, so you know what I mean. Like, I mean that's the flagship, but still,
the way this scene plays out though is insane because he's like, "I'm taking your ship. You're now XO." Okay, like sure, and then the bald lady comes on the ship who would traditionally be the blonde, and Kirk is like, oh, you guys clearly have a thing because I fuck everything that walks. I know what this looks like.
Yeah.
So it's like a handsome guy off almost at the same time.
Yeah,
he's like,
you're right. It is.
And she says like, I don't fuck anybody. Like what is this?
Old meat. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
that stands out.
Yeah. Because because apparently that species in Star Trek is so hot. That people can't control themselves around them.
She's not even an Orion, dude. Like, I don't even get it, man.
It's like, and they don't have sex. Okay, nobody asked. That's not a requirement. We all.
It is the funniest line read in the movie for sure.
It is. It's like,
my vow of celibacy is on record, Captain. Can I do my job
That's
now?
on your permanent record? What record?
But he didn't even say, "Are you guys fucking or what?"
In my CV.
He just looked at them and said,
"I have to call HR when I finally do it."
It was something in the way that Kirk said whatever he said that sounded like he was coming onto her. That's why she delivered the line. But it turns out any Deltan in Starfleet has to take a vow of celibacy because
of Kirk.
Not because of Kirk, because the Deltan race is so sexually attractive.
Yes, they're too hot.
Mundi over here.
They're asking
Sorry, I have
for it.
7 wives as a Jedi.
They're too hot, so they have to take an oath.
And they're all bald.
So backwards.
Every single one is bald.
What can women do more to avoid? Yeah, that's so weird. You want to fuck me, so I'm not fucking anybody.
So, yeah, no.
To solve whose problem?
Yeah, exactly. But also, like, it's not. Yeah, it's like humans or the bear.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
No, and it's funny because it's not like they emit a pheromone that makes them like irresistible or anything. No, they're just too hot.
They're just too hot.
Or maybe it's because they are so horny.
That's what would make sense. That's why it's hilarious. It's like your attraction to me,
if they're too
will be
horny.
defeated.
Yeah,
like that's how attractive people already exist. Like, you may want to fuck me. I don't necessarily want to fuck.
So Exo Seventh Heaven has a history with her. He served on her planet.
Yeah, they were
Delta 4.
They were hooking up.
So, like, if she wasn't in Starfleet, but he was, were they fucking the whole time?
I assume they were. But because he's way too ready to fuck the robot. Anyways, then we get the transporter malfunction. Alas, poor Sonok, we barely knew ye.
Mm-hmm.
Then Kirk shows the crew the video of the Cloud destroying the Klingon ships again.
On the recreation deck. I'd be like, you just ruined the rec deck for me.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kirk.
We couldn't have had this on the bummer deck.
Forehead dude was just so distracting to me in every scene he was in.
Dude, wear a hat, man. Jeez. It's like, don't you know how sexually provocative that thing is?
Like, everyone wants to.
Why do you think the Deltans are so hot? They're all
yeah. He's all, my vow of not being celibate is also on record.
Yeah,
wink.
At least put on a headband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody get these guys a tribble or something
Like
to tape to their heads.
The forehead is well known as the most sexually provocative part of a body.
A forgotten erogenous zone.
5 head.
Yeah. So
excuse me while I scratch my forehead.
Allow me to slip into something more comfortable, like a balaclava.
Turn on my hair clippers.
Yeah, just sexily shaving your head.
He's all, two can vault this game.
So while they're watching this, they see the Cloud arrive at Epsilon 9. When then that space station gets destroyed, there's also somehow outside cameras that capture all
omnipresent Starfleet camera system.
Yeah. And that one
the universe, all the universe is a stage, I guess.
That dude in the the dude in the space suit who was like running away from it. It was fun. He was like, "I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it."
Nah, bro, it's take your helmet off time. Fuck that.
I can fly.
It's like, you can make it to where? It's space.
Okay, so this is a giant pinwheel cloud thing that Palpatine's stuff. We have established.
Yes, it force lightnings things to death.
Or out of existence.
Yeah, they just kind of disappear after it gives them the full Palpatine. Yeah.
It downloads them.
Oh, that's right.
As information.
That's right. It
is what we've come to find out happened.
But is unable to download the carbon units as information, just the ships.
Oh no, because later Ilea gets
oh,
downloaded.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, she's like the first because it doesn't download the other people that it zaps.
I mean,
it might.
Maybe
we don't know
because it only produces one sexual thing for the humans to discuss fornicating with.
Because that's the person
instead of
they
a couple
got.
of Klingons and a couple of other Starfleet members that they could have put out.
I think because that's the person
out, I guess
that's the person they got from this ship. So when they send her back, it's like, I need something that looks familiar to interface with you.
Yeah, that tracks.
But V'ger was going to do the same thing to all the carbon-based life at the end. Sorry for the spoilers.
Yeah. So it's headed to Earth. Then
collect all the information. That's what it is. It's collect all the information.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's headed to Earth next. Then Ilea arrives. This is where we find out that apparently she's so hot that no one can resist. Then McCoy arrives. He's grumpy and he's got a hell of a beard and a disco amulet.
Yeah. He just stepped out of, what is it, Studio 54?
Yeah.
He was like, dude, I was just hanging out with Kissinger. We were doing so much blow.
What the fuck? Yeah.
Because in this universe, Kissinger survives. That's, big part of the eugenics wars. Little known secret.
Was Kissinger became Khan, basically. Running around with his open chest.
Yeah, little do you know that in the trailers, he goes by Kissinger. It's a big reveal at the end that he's actually Khan.
Kirk had him forcefully, reinstituted into Starfleet.
Reserve activation clause.
Yeah.
Just drafted. I love Kirk's reading of this line. I need your bones. Badly.
Yeah. No. Both Jude and I started cracking up at that one.
I need some bones.
Yeah. Kirk has been really lonely these last 10 years, or he has discovered his sexuality.
Yeah.
Maybe both.
So they finally leave the dock. We're 40 minutes into the movie and they're just finally leaving space dock.
It's like water torture, dude. It's like water torture.
This is one of the slowest paced things I've ever seen in my life.
Nothing has happened in this movie. 2 ships have been disappeared in deep space. We watched that Kirk also watched, I guess, with us somehow.
Yeah, this is
4 minutes of stars.
This is a movie about people standing around and looking at things.
Kirk hasn't even had his first murders yet. We're not even to the murders.
No, he got the murders. He did the murders.
Did those happen before?
Yeah, before McCoy.
McCoy?
Yeah.
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 Man.
Because then later, they fixed it.
Because McCoy's like, you guys go first.
Yeah. Which is, I don't blame him. So they try to do the war.
I think that was missing from the theatrical cut too. The first 3 people that come aboard before McCoy, and that line about making them go first. I think that was not in the original.
See, that's another great one because Chapel and Kirk are like, does that remind you of anybody? He wants to make sure the molecules reset, right?
Yeah.
Why would you take these? Oh my God.
Yeah, makes no sense. They were like, you know what this movie needs less of? People talking and interacting. It needs more of blue.
And longing stares.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah.
Longing.
staring longingly at blue space clouds. So they decide to try to warp. They're not sure it's ready, but Kirk makes them do it anyways. They go into warp and things get funky.
Why?
Because that's what happened in the movie.
An asteroid?
Yeah, how is this asteroid just there warping with them?
It got sucked in with it. They call it a wormhole. Isaac Asimov consulted on this, and I think he actually didn't like the term wormhole. He would have called it a temporal tunnel.
Yeah,
I think that was Asimov, but he said wormhole was incorrect.
So,
for what it's worth,
a black hole event horizon kind of thing, maybe, is what they're trying to. They were warping past the thing that sucked V'ger in, maybe, because it looks nothing like Star Trek Warp has ever looked.
Well, it's because the warp engines are bad because they're
the warping. They're not attuned. The intermix was off or something.
That's why when Spock comes on later, he fixes it and they can warp normal.
I love that the Enterprise class of ships, the California class, has a fucking carburetor. Like you have to fuel mix.
Yeah.
For the fucking warp drive. Like what the fuck, man? Like fuel injection, you don't have to do that shit. Like I love those trappings of pre-digital technology in Star Trek because it's a fuel mix.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Like we don't do that with any modern solid fuels. It's not a mix. It's a
those are
pellet
two-stroke engines.
Mm-hmm. Like for fusion and things like that is more the modern interpretation of that. But yeah, to have a fuel mix that went bad because we haven't tested the warp engines out is so funny. It's like Star Wars when Han hits the what's it called, the bulkhead, and the ship goes like, oh shit, now we're going to warp.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
The Gremlins kind of thing out of that. This is similar to our fuel mix. Just weird. It's weird. It's shit for old men who like served in Korea. I feel
for
like.
Sure.
Yeah, that shit happened on my ship one night. The diesel mix was wrong and we got stuck. You're like, what? Ow. Anyways.
Yeah.
I love it. I hate it. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, and so they have to, there's the asteroid. I guess they're going to hit it. Kirk wants to phaser it, but Decker's like, no, don't. Use the torpedoes. So they use the photon torpedoes. They phaser the asteroid. They come out of warp. Kirk takes Decker aside and is like, why'd you do that? And there's like, oh, you saved everyone because the phasers, for some reason, go through the warp engine now.
Yeah, they wouldn't have worked because they were already the warp engine was already unstable, and they draw power from the warp engine.
Mm-hmm.
Something.
I love that only the captain knows this though, and the rest of the like bridge crew isn't like, oh, actually, that's going to kill everybody. Did you read the manual?
Yeah.
Like anybody who would work on like a battleship would be like, dude, no, I'm not going to do that. That's going to blow open the ship. That seems really stupid.
Yeah.
We should mutiny.
Yeah. Yeah. But then Spock arrives. Says that he's here because V'ger was talking to him. Kirk and McCoy are worried about maybe he's here for the wrong reasons, like a contestant on a dating show.
I love Nichelle Nichols, but she has one line reading that is just so awkward when Spock comes to the bridge and they're all like, we're happy to see you, Mr. Spock. And she says, it's how we all feel, Mr. Spock.
Yeah.
It's how we all feel, Mr. Spock.
We have feelings.
Yeah. We're like, see, humans feel, Spock. we had 3 seasons of explaining this to you. He helps them get the warp engines working, and then they go to the cloud, the space cloud. At the space cloud.
Oh, some of them put on their Their yacht uniforms.
Yeah. Kirk changes into a short sleeved
But
polyester number.
Sulu and Uhura, they both put on the short sleeves.
Yeah. Like it's time to get informal.
Yeah, the V-neck, short sleeve. Honestly, it's a vibe. Starfleet's always got the weirdest fits that work.
Well, at least it makes more sense than relaxing by just taking a flap down.
Yeah.
Just take the flap down and you're totally cash.
Yeah, exactly. It was
no skirts though, no dress skirts.
No,
sadly,
not yet.
I think we get one instance of a man in a dress skirt.
Yeah, and like an encounter at Farpoint, I'm pretty sure was it.
Yeah.
It's funny that they had the belt that goes into the shirt, the shirt belt, instead of
that's like
pants belt
touching your skin inside your little onesie jumpsuit thing.
But why are you belting your shirt instead of your pants? Anyway, they go to the space cloud where they get Palpatined. Chekhov's hand gets burned, and then Illyria takes away his pain because that's also a power she has apparently. Spock figures out how to communicate with the cloud, and so they send it a message, and it breaks off its attack.
He tells no one, right?
No, he tells them. He's like,
he goes out after this, right?
It's later on. Yeah, he goes out. Yeah. They have an argument with Decker about going into the cloud, but Kirk decides to just do it. And then we get 4 solid minutes of dialogueless screen time that is entirely for cloud imagery and reaction shots to cloud imagery.
There's a spot during this where like McCoy comes to the bridge and like hangs out for 30 seconds and then just turns around and leaves.
He's like, it's boring up here. They're just looking at clouds.
And there's another one later. Same thing happened. Bones just shows up for a minute. He's like,
because in his contract, he has to have a certain amount of screen time.
Yeah. Is the cloud show still on? Who's winning?
So, anyways, now
anybody dying up here? Okay, I'll leave.
Now they're in the cloud, and they start to approach the cloud butthole, which is winking at them. Then a probe probes the bridge with like a really intense beam of light. Goes after Spock, and then it disintegrates Elia. They argue about going in further. Decker's like, but like my sex bald girl. Then the cloud sends them robot bald sex girl to talk to them. This is where we learn it's called V'ger. It's there to study the carbon units on the ship, which are the people. Decker is put in charge of showing her around the ship. He gives her the grand tour.
Which means we get another tour of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they saw Star Trek and they were like, you know what people really like? The Enterprise. That's what they like.
Yeah.
They don't care about anything else but the ship.
Yep. That's all they're here for is the ship.
And the funny talking dudes.
Yeah. So then Spock goes and he does the neck pinch on that dude who was from like a gay porn.
Who just like moans in ecstasy and agony at the same time.
No. Dude and I started laughing so hard. It was like, that guy's going for it. He's like, I have 5 seconds of screen time. I'm going to act my ass off.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely shit himself and come to himself at the same time.
It was like, Nimoy's touching me.
Honestly, this movie is way too horny. way too horny. This is
But
just
in that-
another moment
in that-
of it being way too
in that
horny.
weird late 70s hairy disco way. Anyways, yeah, he takes he goes out into space by himself. He enters the butthole and then eventually finds the pussy-shaped center of the butthole.
What?
When he comes to like it's like a sideways,
Or an eye. I don't know.
Yeah, but come on. There's not eyes in buttholes. That's where you go through the butthole and you get to the pussy. To my understanding.
One way around, yeah.
He mind melds with it, and he gets his mind totally blown. Kirk has to go out in a spacesuit and rescue him. Bring Spock back.
Does he rescue him, or does he just go outside the ship and get Spock delivered directly to where he is?
Oh, yeah, he doesn't get very far. Spock's on his way back already.
Yeah, like he comes outside and he's like, oh, well, I guess I'll just wait. Is that him? No, I'll just wait here. I think he's coming back.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest, like, he doesn't rescue him. They could have opened a door and just let him drift back into the ship almost.
Then in sickbay, Spock tells them that he's learned that the whole thing is V'ger. It's a non-biological living machine. And then they get to Earth. And V'ger wants to communicate with its creator. It sends probes out to surround Earth. Doesn't get a response, and it's transmitting on a radio frequency. An old-fashioned, old-timey radio show. So Kirk bluffs Aaliyah, telling her that they know why the creator won't answer, but they're not going to tell her. They have to go to V'ger directly and tell V'ger himself why the creator won't answer. So they go to the Creamy Nougat Center, where it's discovered that V'ger is Voyager 6. So quick sidebar. The Voyager program did not get to 6. That is a fictional Voyager. We got to 2. They're both still in space. They both have been transmitting. We've communicated with them as recently as 2024.
Yeah.
They are currently in the farthest. Voyager 1 is the farthest man-made object from Earth that exists.
By far.
Yeah.
It
is an
It ain't ever coming back.
Yeah. It's in interstellar space. It is outside of our solar system. It's the only man-made object outside of our solar system. Well, Voyager 2 now is the second outside.
I think one went up and one went down or something, or one went out and one went up. I think I forget the pattern that they went.
Yeah, I don't know, but they're both gone. they're gone, man. They're out there. They ain't coming back. So this film assumes we were going to keep. Voyager 2 went out in 1977. So this movie is assuming we're just going to keep sending Voyagers out. So basically, it was believed to be lost in a black hole, but it was found by an alien race of living machines that saw that its instructions were to learn all it can and return that information to its creator. So they started upgrading the probe and sent it back, and on its way, it kept gathering knowledge and more machines and getting bigger and bigger. It got so big that it obtained consciousness. They want it to transmit all its information, but the creator must come in person to finish the sequence. Since humans are the creator, Decker offers to let himself get V'gered.
Well, it sabotages itself because it wants to do it in person. Like they almost get to the end, and it's like, oh wait, no.
Yeah,
we have to do this in person.
I have we can't do this over the phone. Can we talk in person?
Well, and they're all already there too, so it's convenient.
Yeah. You know? Well, yeah, but yeah. So Yeah, V'ger's not that smart for a super smart machine.
It's a baby.
It's a baby. And so, of course, Decker offers to merge with the baby.
Is it a baby? Because if it traveled back in time and has been around all of these years and is now traveling the universe, how can they say it's a baby?
I mean, in that it's the first of its species, I suppose. And that level, it's a infant species, but also, I don't know.
But yeah, if we saw like an adult alien, we wouldn't be like, oh, it's a baby because it just met people.
This was supposed to be an hour. This was supposed to be a 45-minute premiere to a new series. They really stretched it out.
Seriously.
Into being
4 minutes at a time, blue clouds and external shots.
So yeah, he and Ilya merge, and V'ger, they create a new life form and disappears, and Earth is saved. Back on the Enterprise, Kirk says, let's go out there, that away, and roll credits. We're done. Thank God.
We get the addition of, so we need to report to Starfleet. 2 casualties, sir? And he's like, let's call them missing. Also, those other 2?
Not my fault. Yeah.
They didn't die on this expedition at all.
Yeah.
I like the final, like, where do we go, Captain? It's like, I don't know, out there, that away.
Yeah, that was a real good Kirk moment, for sure. Yeah, that's it, guys. We made it through the most painful Star Trek.
Alrighty.
Unanswered questions?
I asked them already.
Yeah. Where can I watch all these space footage, the space streams that they have going on 24/7?
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
No.
I liked what they did on the director's edition. The stuff, the changes that they made, it wasn't jarring like George Lucas did with Star Wars. But they made it much easier to look at, much easier to listen to. They took out a lot of weird intercom voices that were there, cleaned up the audio, made it sound more modern.
Insane that it made it to theaters in its original iteration that is worse than this.
Yeah.
I will say the concept is so cool. The man creates a machine that gains sentience and then comes back to judge man is like a classic sci-fi thing at this point. But Voyager is a creative thing to do that with. And that's my favorite part of this movie for sure, is just the fact that it's a real satellite that we had just launched.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was cool. Yeah, I mean, there's tidbits of Star Trek-y stuff in this that it's fun, but like tidbits, the tiniest tastes here and there. But I don't know. We ready to just thumb it?
I can't give a Star Trek movie a thumbs down, but it's my least favorite of the lot. That's including the Next Gen.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I can thumbs up, I guess.
This barely felt like Star Trek to me. I got to give it a thumbs down. Like the cast barely felt like Star Trek. Like it was kids in costumes playing them almost.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the big three, it's like the remainder of the crew barely got anything to do. Like Sulu had like 3 lines.
Yeah.
Al.
Yes, thumbs up. Yes, the hardest pill to swallow, but still thumbs up.
Yeah. Yeah, I just can't bring myself to get the thumbs down the Trek movie. Like, I agree, Brian, it's terrible, but I can't do it. I could I couldn't thumbs down a Star Wars movie. Like,
this is worse than Rise of Skywalker to me.
Yeah. I mean, I'd agree. At least Rise of Skywalker was fast moving.
Stuff happens in that movie.
Yeah, dumb stuff, but it does happen. So
the thummies were correct that this did need like a major villain, and fortunately we get that next time around.
We will be getting a major villain next time around. Yes,
that's actually fascinating because at no point is V'ger a villain. It is a natural occurring thing.
It's almost more man against nature than man against V'ger.
Which is a weird way to interpret man creates machine that comes back to conquer man and judge them or whatever.
So, all right. I think that's about it for Star Trek the Motion Picture. We ran out of steam there towards the end where it's just like, and then this happens and we're done. Okay, let's go. But that's it. Thank you all for hanging out with us. It's been one of your hosts, Thoreau Smiley. And don't worry, I've got you right where you want me.
I'm Josh Cece, and permission to leave the ship?
I'm Brian Lesh, and I am ready to never stare at another space cloud ever again.
Oh, please.
Tactical, stand by on Alaric Weber's.
Weber's.
We'll see you next time, everyone. Bye.
Y'all come out of tubes.